All right, now we're finishing up the study guide for the quiz over 5.1 through 5.4. The instructions here say factor completely using any method you want. And we had said the first thing we do is look to see if there's any common monomial, right? 2, 3, and 4, they're all equally weighted. So we might have a special product. That would be like a to the third minus b to the third, or a to the third plus b to the third, and so on. And what tells us to look at that is we have two terms. We may need to factor by grouping. What might indicate that would be if we had 4 terms that we couldn't combine. And then we would see if we could treat it as quadratics. And that way, 3 terms. Okay, so the terms should help us to see where we're going to start. All right. Here, I'm going to use number 1. I should have a common monomial I can pull out. Happens to be 2x, and I'm left with 8x squared minus 22x minus 21. All right, well, let's use our tools from chapter 4. Multiply 8 times negative 21 and see what factors, in this case of 168, add up to that negative 22. Now, after a little trial and error, we get these. So I'm going to expand that middle term. 8x squared minus 28x plus 6x minus 21. All right, factoring by grouping. What can I take out of the first part? I can take out a 4x, and I'm left with 2x minus 7. And in the last part, it looks like I can take out a 3 and be left with 2x minus 7. So my final factor is not losing this 2x I had here. Is 2x, 4x plus 3, 2x minus 7. Okay? Now, the next one, common monomial factor. I'm going to pull out a negative b, negative 4b. Leaves me with b to the third minus 125. All right. Well, 2 terms. I'm going to look at my special products. Turns out this is a difference of cubes, right? B cubed minus 5 cubed. So if I do that, it's a minus b. So b minus 5. Then it'll be a squared, in this case, b, plus ab plus b squared. Looks like that. All right, so that's the difference of cubes, but don't forget I pulled out this. So there is my complete, yeah, that looks like my complete set of factors. All right. Actually, if I pull out a negative here, that would make this a positive, which makes this a positive and this a negative. So watch those signs. Very important. All right. Look, 4 terms. Makes me think I'm going to factor by grouping. So I break it down the middle, and I can pull out a z to the 4th, and I'm left with a z minus 3. All right. Then I'll pull out a 16, leaves me with a z minus 3, because I pulled out a negative 16. So now I have z to the 4th minus 16, z minus 3. Well, z to the 4th actually is a difference of perfect squares. It's z squared minus 8, z squared plus 8. Don't want to lose my z minus 3. Oh, it's not 8, is it? The square root of 16 is 4. So that's what we have there. And then this one is another difference of perfect squares. Z minus 2, z plus 2. Cannot factor this thing any further. And then we still have this z minus 3. So there is the factors for that. All right. Looking at this, 2 terms makes me think special products. But guess what? I'm going to pull out 3y to the 3rd. then I'm left y squared minus 25. Common monomial factor every time. Y squared minus 25 is a difference of perfect squares. Y plus 5, y minus 5. All right? And then we have one more on this sheet. Looking for my common monomial terms. I'm going to pull out a 4t squared. All right, what's left? T to the fourth. Minus 5t squared plus 6. All right, 3 terms. Looks like it could be treated as a quadratic. So why don't I substitute y wherever there's a t squared? And this becomes y squared minus 5y plus 6. And we can factor that. Y minus 3, y minus 2. All right, and then I plug back in for y, put t squared. And I bring this down so I don't forget it. And that looks like, can't factor these any further, that is factored completely. Okay, now, we added a few problems to this worksheet that I wrote on the board, right? Page 333, number 16, has us multiplying two things in scientific notation, right? The beauty of this is I multiply the 1.2 times the 6.7, and then I can treat these as, right, 10 to the negative third times 10 to the negative 7, and I can just add the exponents, can't I? This turns out to be 10 to the negative 10. Because this is just one non-zero digit to the left of the decimal, I'm still in proper scientific notation. Number 20 reads 4.0 times 10 to the third, all raised to the fourth. So because this is a product, I can say 4.0 to the fourth and 10 to the third to the fourth. Okay, 4 to the fourth. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64 times 4. Trying to figure that out. 64 times 4. It's 256. 256 times 10. 3 times 4 is 12. Well, we don't have proper scientific notation. So we end up having to move the decimal over 2 spots, which will take that exponent up. 2.56 times 10 to the 14, right? I'm going to do... All right, those were the two problems that I gave you on page 333, which I believe was, maybe it was 5.1, maybe it was, I don't know. Whatever section. The other ones I gave you, which were on page 341. Number 10 was an example of direct substitution. So we had this problem, and we wanted to evaluate it where x equals 2. So we just come and plug right in anywhere there's an x. And it turns out that'll be 76. Just crank through that. 18 has us doing synthetic substitution. We're going to evaluate this where x equals 4. Well, the thing you have to remember here, any placeholders, right? We're starting with an x to the third. So we have negative 8, x to the third. There's no x squared. So I have to say 0x squared. 14x, the constant's minus 35. And I'm evaluating it at 4. So negative 8 comes down. Negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. Okay, I'm going to add that. Negative 32 times 4 is negative 128. If I add those together, I have negative 114. Negative 114 times 4 is negative 456. And I add that, the answer is negative 491. So that's synthetic substitution, right? Let's try the last one. g of x equals, in fact, I'm going to move that to a next page. G of x, this is number 20, equals 6x to the 5th plus 10x, x to the 3rd. Let's get rid of that line. Minus 27, and let's evaluate it at x equals -3. All right, placeholders, don't forget. 6x to the 5th, 0x to the 4th, 10x to the 3rd, 0x squared, 0x, and a -27. Evaluate it at -3. Bring the 6 down. -18, and -3 times -18 is +54. It's 64. 64 times -3, -192, and add. Multiply those together and get a +576. Multiply that by -3, I get -1728. Add those up. My answer is 1755. -1755. So those are all the problems on this study guide. You need to look through those, watch the video a few times, make sure you can do these. All right, please let me know if you have any questions.